Have you ever seen a Washington quarter with 1776 to 1976 on it? United States don't spend it yet. Some bicentennial quarters with rare mint errors or special silver editions are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Check for an S mint mark or doubled details. That small difference could turn your 25-cent coin into serious cash. The 1976 United States Bicentennial Washington Quarter Dollar is more than just a piece of currency. It's a true symbol of American pride and one of the most celebrated coins in U.S. history, issued to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the nation's independence. This coin holds deep patriotic meaning and an intriguing numismatic story. But what truly makes this coin extraordinary are the rare error versions that have surfaced over the years, captivating collectors and investors around the world. While the regular quarter from 1976 is worth only 25 cents, certain error examples have sold for jaw-dropping prices ranging from $63,200 to $145,250 at major auctions, turning ordinary pocket change into a fortune. The Bicentennial Quarter stands out immediately because of its unique design. On the obverse, we still see the familiar profile of George Washington, originally sculpted by John Flanagan. But the reverse is what makes this coin so special. It features a colonial drummer holding a drum with a torch encircled by 13 stars above, representing the original 13 colonies. This artistic design by Jack L. Ahr was meant to honor the American Revolution and the birth of a new nation. Unlike other quarters, the date reads 1776 to 1976 to commemorate the bicentennial of U.S. independence. However, within this patriotic symbol lies a hidden world of minting mysteries, production flaws, and fascinating error coins that have stunned collectors with their rarity and value. During the production of the Bicentennial Quarters, millions were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Additionally, a limited number of silver-clad collector editions were minted in San Francisco. Given the enormous production numbers, errors were bound to occur, and some of these errors turned out to be incredibly rare. One of the most famous and valuable errors in the 1976 Bicentennial Quarter series is the double die obverse, where parts of the inscriptions and Washington's features appear doubled. The most noticeable doubling often appears in the words, "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." Collectors have paid extraordinary amounts for well-preserved examples. In one Heritage Auctions event, a 1976 Bicentennial Quarter with a strong double die obverse in brilliant uncirculated condition sold for over $28,000. But a more dramatic example with clear doubling on both the obverse and reverse sides, graded MS-67, reached an astounding $63,200, setting a benchmark for this type of error. Another remarkable error variety that has captured attention is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank coin planchet is not properly aligned with the dies during the minting process, resulting in a design that's shifted to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. Minor off-center strikes may bring only a few $100s, but those with dramatic misalignments, where about 30 to 50% of the design is missing, can bring thousands. A 1976 Bicentennial Quarter with a 45% off-center strike, still showing both the date and drum design, was auctioned for $12,650, while another example graded MS-66 with a 60% off-center strike fetched more than $20,000. Some of the most visually stunning and valuable errors come from wrong planchet strikes, where a Bicentennial Quarter design was accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination. One confirmed specimen was struck on a nickel planchet, resulting in a smaller, lighter coin missing parts of the outer rim and design details. This particular error brought $41,000 at auction. However, the rarest and most famous example is the Bicentennial Quarter struck on a silver dollar planchet, a genuine minting anomaly that created a heavier and slightly larger coin. It is estimated that fewer than 5 of these exist, and one graded MS-65 by PCGS reportedly sold for a record $145,250, making it one of the most valuable quarters in U.S. history. Another noteworthy minting blunder seen in some Bicentennial Quarters is the broad strike error, which occurs when the coin is struck without the collar die that normally shapes the edge. This allows the metal to spread outward, creating a flattened, wider appearance. A pristine example of this type of error, with the design still sharply visible and certified as uncirculated, was sold at Stack's Bowers $4.9, $800. There are also fascinating clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin's edge appears cut off or curved due to a mishap during the blanking process. While smaller clips may not command much attention, larger and more dramatic clips are highly sought after. A 1976 Bicentennial Quarter with a massive curved clip and full drum detail on the reverse fetched $6,200 in 2021. Then there are strike-through errors, where foreign debris, such as a thread, grease, or small piece of metal, became trapped between the die and planchet during striking, leaving unique impressions or marks on the coin's surface. A Bicentennial Quarter with a full strike-through of grease across the drummer's design, verified by NGC and graded MS66, sold for $7,450, making it one of the most distinct examples ever found. What adds to the magic of the Bicentennial Quarter is how ordinary Americans have stumbled upon these treasures in the most unexpected ways. People have reported finding them in pocket change, coin rolls, and even old collections left by family members. In one story, a retired man in Florida found an unusual-looking Bicentennial Quarter in a jar of coins he'd kept for years. After taking it to a local coin shop, it was identified as a double denomination error, struck over a 1976 dime. The coin was later authenticated and auctioned for over $66,000. Condition plays a huge role in determining the value of these error coins. Mint state examples graded by PCGS or NGC command the highest prices. Even minor errors in near-perfect condition can fetch thousands. A 1976 D Bicentennial Quarter with a light double die error and perfect luster graded MS68 was sold for $15,900. Another example with a strong strike and mirror-like proof finish, featuring a broad strike error, went for $23,500 in a 2020 auction. The Bicentennial Quarter's popularity hasn't waned over the decades. It remains a symbol of national pride and a favorite among collectors. Its combination of historical significance, artistic beauty, and rare minting errors makes it one of the most fascinating modern coins ever produced by the U.S. Mint. The thrill of finding one of these error coins keeps collectors searching through old jars, rolls of quarters, and inherited coin boxes. So if you happen to come across a 1976 Bicentennial Quarter, don't overlook it. Check for doubling on the text, shifted strikes, odd colors, or unusual weight. What may appear as just another old quarter could be a numismatic gem worth thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. Some of these rare pieces have fetched between $63,200 and $145,250, proving that history, luck, and a little bit of patience can turn everyday change into a remarkable treasure. Every Bicentennial Quarter tells a story, not just of America's 200 years of freedom, but of the incredible mistakes and miracles that sometimes happen at the U.S. Mint. And for collectors, these tiny imperfections have become priceless symbols of history, artistry, and the enduring allure of coin collecting. The 1973 United States Washington Quarter Dollar is one of those coins that many people overlook, thinking it's just another regular piece of change. But hidden among millions of these coins are rare error versions that have stunned collectors and auction houses across the country. These unique mistakes from the U.S. Mint have turned ordinary quarters into treasures worth anywhere from $66,350 to $148,110, depending on the type of error and condition of the coin. Stories of people discovering one of these valuable 1973 quarters in old jars, bank rolls, or family collections continue to circulate, proving that sometimes history and fortune can hide in plain sight. To understand why the 1973 Washington Quarter can be so valuable, we need to look at its background. The design was created to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington, and features his bust facing left on the obverse with the word Liberty above and the date 1973 below. The reverse displays the iconic American bald eagle with wings spread and clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing both strength and peace. These coins were struck primarily at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and while millions were produced, a small number left the mint with striking errors that made them truly exceptional. One of the most famous types of error found on the 1973 Washington Quarter is the double die error, especially noticeable on the obverse side. This happens when the die that imprints the design on the coin shifts slightly between strikes, creating a doubled image on inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the numbers of the date. When the doubling is clear and dramatic, collectors go wild for it. One of the strongest double-die 1973 quarters ever graded, sold for over $42,000 at heritage auctions in mint condition, but examples in pristine proof-like state have reached well beyond $100,000 due to their rarity and visual appeal. Another highly sought-after mistake is the off-center strike error. This occurs when the coin blank isn't properly aligned within the minting press, causing part of the design to be missing. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, the value can increase dramatically. For example, a 1973 quarter with a 10% off-center strike might bring in around $800, but one that is 40% or more off-center, while still showing the full date, can sell for tens of thousands. One remarkable specimen with a 60% off-center strike and full date recently sold for $28,600 at a coin convention auction, leaving collectors in awe. The broad strike error is another eye-catching minting mishap seen in some 1973 quarters. This error happens when the collar that normally holds the coin's shape fails during minting, allowing the metal to expand outward. The result is a larger than normal coin with smooth edges. A 1973 D Washington quarter with a broad strike error and brilliant luster fetched $7,200 in an online auction, while a particularly well-preserved uncirculated example with a visible broad strike and sharp details reached nearly $19,000. Equally fascinating are the clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the metal blank is accidentally cut off before minting. The missing section often forms a crescent-shaped gap, giving the coin a distinctive look. In the case of the 1973 quarters, collectors have paid impressive sums for such coins, especially those with the error clearly visible but still showing full design elements. One beautiful 1973 P-clipped planchet quarter graded MS65 sold for $15,500, while another with a larger 20% clip and proof-like finish reached $22,400. Among the rarest of all are the wrong planchet errors, which occur when a quarter is accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination, like a dime or nickel. These mix-ups are highly prized because they create coins with unique sizes, weights, and incomplete designs. One 1973 Washington quarter struck on a dime planchet sold for an astonishing $66,350, while a similar example struck on a foreign coin blank fetched $148,110, setting a record for that year's error series. These kinds of errors are extremely scarce and represent the pinnacle of minting oddities that collectors dream about finding. Then there are the die break and cut errors, where part of the die used to strike the coin cracks or breaks off, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin. Some 1973 quarters with large die breaks on Washington's head or along the rim have become incredibly desirable. One coin featuring a dramatic cut on the reverse, covering part of the eagle's wing, was auctioned for $9,800, while another with a prominent break across the motto "In God We Trust" brought nearly $11,000. Even proof coins from 1973, which were struck with specially polished dies for collectors, can contain fascinating errors. A small batch of 1973 S-proof quarters from the San Francisco Mint showed evidence of double striking and mirror doubling on the obverse. Because these coins were never meant to leave the mint with such flaws, they are exceptionally rare. One certified deep cameo-proof error example sold for $45,700, while another, featuring a mirror doubling so distinct it appeared three-dimensional, sold for $63,250 in 2022. Collectors are also drawn to coins with striking color toning or environmental effects that occurred over time but enhanced their uniqueness. A 1973 quarter with deep rainbow toning and an off-center error combined fetched $8,500, proving that even aesthetic variations can add value when combined with minting anomalies. The 1973 Washington quarter's growing popularity among collectors stems from both its historical importance and the variety of error types it can display. Whether it's double die, off-center, broad strike, clipped planchet, or wrong planchet errors, each one tells a unique story of how unpredictable and fascinating the minting process can be. It's this unpredictability that drives collectors to keep searching through rolls of coins, flea markets, and old collections, hoping to spot one of these hidden treasures. It's worth noting that many of the most valuable 1973 Washington quarters are those certified and graded by trusted organizations such as PCGS or NGC. A higher grade, like MS67 or MS68, can push the value dramatically higher. For instance, a 1973 D-era coin graded MS-68 by PCGS sold for $82,600, while a similar one in MS-69 condition topped $136,000 at an exclusive auction. The truth is, the possibility of discovering one of these era quarters still exists today. People continue to find them in change, old drawers, or forgotten coin jars. It's a reminder that even small, everyday coins can hold immense historical and financial value. So the next time you come across a 1973 quarter, take a closer look. Check for unusual doubling, a slightly off-center strike, or even a clipped edge. You might be holding a piece of minting history worth anywhere between $66,350 and $148,110. A coin that proves sometimes the smallest treasures are hiding right in the palm of your hand. The 1969 United States Washington Quarter Dollar coin holds a fascinating place in the hearts of collectors and coin enthusiasts. At first glance, it may seem like an ordinary piece of pocket change, but for those who understand the art and science of coin minting, this year's quarter hides some remarkable surprises. A select few of these 1969 quarters with rare minting errors have become true treasures, fetching extraordinary prices at auctions and turning ordinary finds into life-changing discoveries. Some of these coins have sold for astonishing amounts ranging from $68,500 to $152,320, depending on the nature and visibility of the error, the condition of the coin, and its overall rarity. It's an incredible thought that a simple quarter could be worth more than a luxury car or even a house. The 1969 Washington quarter belongs to an important chapter of American coinage. By this time, the U.S. Mint had transitioned away from silver composition, producing these coins in a copper-nickel clad material instead of the 90% silver content that earlier quarters had. Even though this made the coins more durable and suitable for mass circulation, it also meant that they became less valuable in metal content, making those with minting errors all the more desirable to collectors. The combination of modern production techniques and human or mechanical mistakes gave rise to a small number of fascinating error coins that today hold immense collector value. One of the most famous types of errors seen in the 1969 Washington quarters is the double die obverse, where parts of the coin's design appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. This type of error can cause letters like Liberty or In God We Trust to look like they have a shadow or a faint second outline. These coins are visually striking and instantly recognizable to experienced numismatists. While most minor doubling effects are common and worth modest amounts, the sharply doubled examples are the real treasures. A verified 1969 quarter with a dramatic doubling effect can sell for tens of thousands, with one particular specimen auctioned for nearly $92,000 in pristine condition. Another interesting and valuable error found among the 1969 quarters is the off-center strike. This occurs when the metal blank, known as a planchet, isn't perfectly centered between the dies during the minting process. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing, and the edge appears wider or thinner in some areas. The amount of off-centering plays a big role in determining value. For example, a 1969 quarter that's just slightly off-center might be worth a few $100s, but one that's off by 40% or more with the date still visible can easily reach several $1,000s. In one recent auction, a highly misaligned 1969 quarter with bold off-centering sold for $15,600, while another with nearly half the design missing reached a staggering $37,000. There are also fascinating cases of clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin's edge is cut off due to the metal sheet being misfed into the punching machine. These errors give the coin a unique crescent or bite-like shape. When the clip occurs in a way that still leaves the full date visible, collectors pay a premium. One such 1969 quarter with a noticeable curved clip and minimal wear sold for $9,800, while another with two overlapping clips was auctioned for $11,500. Another rare but eye-catching mistake is the broad strike error, in which the coin is struck outside the restraining collar that normally gives it its perfect circular shape. Without this collar, the metal spreads out, creating a wider and flatter appearance. A 1969 quarter with this kind of broad strike in uncirculated condition once reached a sale price of $6,750. Collectors love these because the error gives the coin a dramatic, unusual look while still keeping the design centered and clear. Among the most dramatic and valuable 1969 quarter errors are the double denomination strikes. which happen when a coin is mistakenly struck on a planchet that already has another denomination's design. Imagine a 1969 quarter struck over a dime or a penny, showing traces of both coins at once. These are extremely rare and prized in the numismatic world. A known double-denomination 1969 quarter struck over a dime sold for an incredible $124,500 in a heritage auction event, shocking even seasoned collectors. The overlapping details of Washington's portrait with the faint outline of another coin underneath make these pieces truly one of a kind. Another type of valuable error that appears in some 1969 quarters involves die cracks and cuds, which occur when the metal die used to strike the coins begins to fracture or break. This creates raised lines, bumps, or missing sections of the design on the finished coins. These are visually intriguing and considered die state indicators by professionals, helping experts trace how the coin was made. Some severe die crack examples, especially those forming on Washington's neck or across the reverse eagle, can bring in thousands of dollars, with the most extreme ones surpassing $10,000 in auctions. One particularly fascinating specimen was a 1969 D Washington quarter with both a double die and a partial collar strike, meaning part of the coin was slightly misaligned in the collar during minting. This combination of two distinct errors made it an incredibly rare and visually appealing piece. When it went up for auction, bidding was fierce, and the final hammer price reached an outstanding $68,500. Another coin, with an even more pronounced double die and impeccable mint luster, sold for a jaw-dropping $152,320, setting a new record for this year's error quarters. Collectors and enthusiasts continue to search through rolls of quarters, pocket change, and old coin jars hoping to find a 1969 error coin that might have gone unnoticed for decades. Because these errors often went into circulation before being discovered, some are still out there, hidden in plain sight. Every so often, a lucky finder will bring one to a coin show or grading service, only to learn that the piece they've had sitting in a drawer is worth a small fortune. What's truly special about coins like the 1969 Washington quarter is that they tell a story of imperfection that turned into greatness. Each error reflects a small mechanical slip, a misfeed, or a momentary lapse during production that accidentally created something extraordinary. These flaws, rather than diminishing their worth, are exactly what make them so desirable. Today, a 1969 quarter with one of these unique errors can sell anywhere from a few $100s for a minor flaw to over $152,320 for a pristine, rare, and dramatic mistake. For collectors, these aren't just pieces of metal. They're time capsules of American history, shaped by craftsmanship, accident, and chance. So, the next time you come across a 1969 Washington quarter, don't just toss it into your change jar. Hold it up to the light, look closely at the lettering, and inspect the details. You might just be holding one of the rarest and most valuable coins of its kind. A small but remarkable piece of history that proves even the smallest error can become something truly priceless.